We are at the National Music Center located in Calgary with Raymond Sewell. Raymond, thank you so much for taking some time. We know you're busy in the studio. You're recording right now. You're writing. You're experimenting. You're working with other musicians and a lot of technical people. What has it been like being at the National Music Center so far?
Yeah, I'm from the res in Pabineau, so I never thought I'd see this kind of stuff in my life. So, as a fan of music and instruments, in particular guitars, but piano as well, I came to this like, wow, this is the real deal. Where we're from, we had high action on the guitars, busted keyboards, trying to get the volume to work. Everything works here, so it's just phenomenal. And the staff here has been excellent. The engineers, the people I've been working with, my people of contact here, uh, phenomenal. Like that, they don't treat you like you're from the res. They treat you like a musician, like everyone else. So that really goes a long way. And I feel like I could just get in the studio, dig in, start playing. The instruments are
Wow.
precious, but the music's got to be made too. So to play those instruments and really play them was an amazing experience.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your background. As you mentioned, you're from the Res
Hmm.
Pabineau First Nation that's located in New Brunswick,
Yeah.
and you have such an incredible background because you're a poet, you're a singer songwriter. You've been defined as like a community bridger. You have your
Mm-hmm.
BA, your MA. You worked as an English professor, a lecturer,
Mm-hmm.
and particularly at St. Mary's University. So,
Mm-hmm.
quite the background. And how do you balance your time and effort and energies when you have such a huge skill set?
Yeah, I have a bandwidth for it. Like, I'm working tirelessly. I feel like maybe I'll coast in the back nine of life, but right now I'm going to build something. It's all built out of words. On the res, growing up in the 90s, we didn't have access to cell phones and stuff like that. We had those old guitars and we had storytelling to fill the nights, aduguagan, our stories. And I remember thinking, hey, you can build stuff out of words. There's a power to this. So I just started building stuff out of words, cobbling words, ideas. When I'm out with people, I'm listening, I'm fishing. I go to New England a lot. I sit at coffee shops. I listen to their different vernaculars, the way they speak, their sayings, idioms. I pull them in and then I make them mine in a way. So I'm always doing that, cobbling together ideas and moments from real life. We're all built out of stories. I teach N. Scott Momaday quite a bit, and he
Mm.
says we're story people. It'd be boring if you're just sitting around with no story. So I realized you can build yourself with words. So if you get a command on the languages you're working in, you can really go places. And we're moving energy, right? So.
Well, and it's interesting when you talk about energy, like the Pabineau First Nation, like you're close to water, right? So
Mm.
is that is the ocean part of the inspiration in what you do as well? And I guess it ties into your culture.
Mm. Very much so. The oceans, we got the salmon bulamu. They they go to the ocean, they come back, they move around rivers to ocean. They show that our tanks in life, our horizons are changing a lot. I love the ocean. I also love the desert too. Been down in Texas, El Paso, Houston. Really found my voice there in that isolation. But the land is very much what I'm writing for and what I'm writing of. Sometimes I might say, we're pulling out of Colorado or we're pulling out of Denver faster than a love song from a dying man, just because it sounds a little cooler than Quebec City. But other than that, it's all about the land. It's all about place. The stories are really inextricable from that. So in Pabineau, I grew up on the river. I started out rapping because I had no instruments, so we'd like steal Wu-Tang beats online, rap. I moved to the city, uh, did some hip hop stuff, some beats, but I always thought about my backyard just like a painting.
Mm.
Pabineau Falls, Gigwapskoka is just like a painting, and when you're there, now I'm in the city. I yearn for it all the time. I look out in the parking lot and think, what have I come too far? Is this all too cheesy, all too easy of a life? I want to go back to the woods where it's got more of a feel, nature feel for sure. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned a couple things like you found your voice. How would you define your voice? Like part of it
Mm.
is it's definitely immersed
Mm-hmm.
in the land. I'm hearing that, and also culture. So
Mm.
so what? How would you define your voice?
Yeah, I feel like I found my voice out in Texas. I kind of found my voice in Nashville. I found my voice in Florida when I visited the mounds. When I seen these other cultures that are close to ours, when I went as far as I could and I missed home, I kind of had that new horizon and I could come back feeling a certain way. Last year we were in Banff at the residency, and January Rogers said, "Put your dumue down, your tobacco down. Call your spirit home before you go home." We did that ceremony up in the mountains. That was profound. It really resonated with me because I've been traveling so much finding my voice, but then calling it back. So the feeling I had was I'd be back home sitting there, but I was still in Nashville. I was still in Tampa Bay. Finally
Mm.
realizing you can travel, you can expand your horizons, but when you come back home, bring your jijakometry, your soul back home with you too. So that's not always traveling. So when I married that up, I was able to come home with new perspectives and then sing the blues, like Reside Soul. I was just like, I knew how to do it then without being away all the time.
Hmm.
So now I can write back home too and use the influences from home and trust that.
So you mentioned as well you're doing hip hop
Mm.
as well when you started, but you're not
Hmm.
in hip hop now, obviously. How would you define your music now?
I still write verses all the time, like Eminem on the bus. I can't help it. If I hear a beat, if I got a splice open, I'll still lay down a verse. But I like to explore. I see genres as colonial, so I'm quite eclectic. I'm in all kinds of genres. I like to try stuff new. What I did here feels a little more adult contemporary. I don't know if that's because I'm aging or what, but I'm going into that zone, which is interesting. I do the cowboy thing. I do the adult contemporary. I'm trained in opera, like bel canto, tenor singing. So yeah, I'm all over the place, but I'm loving it. It's like nothing's 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 too static. I can still explore and kind of like Jackson Pollock. I'm throwing paint out there and seeing what I get.
And you've done poetry as well. So does this tie into how you're able to put words together? You're a published poet, so I imagine that plays a role when in terms of your lyrics.
Yeah, the poetry thing came from Tupac. I was rapping and he put out "A Rose Grows Through the Concrete," that thing of poems. I was like, wow, anyone could be a poet. Like, not that Tupac's just anyone, but it was accessible to me. Um, then I started saying, I got these songs that are kind of too big. They're not ballads. I'll make them poems. And then I start writing these really long epic poems and condensing them into songs. In the pop format, you got room for one or two ideas. And in that space, I'll write a immense story and then focus in on a part of it for the song. So when I'm approaching the song, it's like a character. I have all the data in the background of where this is,
Hmm.
and I'm just showing the audience a bit of it. That made my poems stronger and my songs stronger. Just exploring them as pieces of art. I used to make albums like start to finish, but now I kind of want to put live pieces together that have moments and just see where I can go from there. So the idea is always upstaging it to a bigger stage. Like,
Nice. And as we mentioned at the beginning, like you've done some lecturing as well, and
mm-hmm,
you're really connected to community.
mm-hmm,
So the music that you do, how do you balance that out, like your community connection
mm-hmm,
to the res
mm-hmm.
and being an individual artist?
Right. So right now I'm tenor track. I'm putting in my tenor application for professor at St. Mary's University. I've been a professor there for 4 years, starting out part-time lecturing a couple years before that. In the classroom, we're doing it different. We're getting out of the Western kind of constraints, and I'm bringing in community knowledge. Luckily, where I am, there's a openness to that, and particularly from the students. So the students I'm meeting now, they're open to learning. They're looking at histories. They're considering them together. It's a time of people bridging communities and coming together. I teach drum in my class. We learn songs. I feel like that's a way to actively do it, but I also share lectures about culture and that. And I just tell them the stories. My elders, Nidwalk in the community, they said, tell the stories now, so I tell the stories. It's strange in an academic space. In terms of how I keep doing it, I go to the reserve all the time. I take my girls, Millie Dow Gunick, my wife and I. We go there maybe 15, 16 times a year on the weekends. I'm always up there. I want the kids to know the land. I don't want them to know all concrete, you know. So I want to teach them Mewisin, how to pick berries, how to identify plants, what the stories are, what their pantheon is on the river. I really want them to be res sisters in a way too. So they when we go home, they're like, "Can we do a res ride?" I'm like, "Yeah, take off the buckles. If you see the cops, duck." So I want them to know that too. I want them to know our upbringing. You know, sitting on the back of the truck playing guitar, cruising through the dirt roads. That's you can't replace that. You need a little bit of that too. A little.
Absolutely. And you know, when you that ties into how you grew up and as well. Like I know you've mentioned some of the songs and the teachings from the elders. You had guitars around, but you also had hand drums, I guess, growing up as well. So so this is not something. This is part of your culture that you've connected with. It's not something you picked up necessarily on your own. It was just the expectations kind of there, I guess.
Yeah, when I was young, I was surrounded by instruments. It was like a kitchen party all the time or a musical. Everyone was singing at you. The guitars are in various states of repair. My mom would lean it against the wall. The neck would break. You duct tape it or glue it together. We had all kinds of native instruments. We had the drum, dew claw rattles. We'd play those. Eagle whistles, turtle shells, turtle rattles. I was exposed to all that at a young age, and it was accessible. I was allowed to play this stuff. My father told me the instruments in that are meant to be used, they're meant to be accessible. Like a drum, for example, can handle a child playing it. So let the child play it. Don't put it up in a shadow box or that, let them play it. And with that, my mom and dad let me play and experiment. Obviously through boredom too and isolation, being out in community, no ride to town, you kind of embrace that and you become inquisitive and you start playing stuff and you say, oh, this makes that sound, that makes that sound. And it gives you a head start in terms of music with the luxury of just being able to play and try things out. And that was a really good upbringing. Like I said before, the phones and that, the phones have all the technology now to get you there. But the soul is really in learning it, just doing it, hanging out with the instruments. They're all alive. Like drum in our language, dukumadesk is a heartbeat. It's alive. So consider them community and family, also. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's interesting when you mentioned the language a bit. Like language itself carries, you know, rhythms and carries music. What has language done for you?
For me, my father spoke Nuisudi Mi'kmaq language. Growing up, my mother spoke English. I was exposed to both in a way, you know, one ear and the other. What I realized at that time, also with the French language around my community, is that languages have kind of best words for stuff. So I embrace polyglot writing. Sometimes the word in Mi'kmaq just is so much better than the word in English and vice versa. I was really attuned to switching languages, switching codes, hearing different kind of takes on the world and philosophies, and I realized they're all quite valuable. So,
and so you had these instruments, traditional instruments, and then you're a kid learning at the house parties, and then you're also watching MTV recordings and listening to 8 tracks. How did that also play a role?
Well, I think we're behind in the technology. My parents were a lot older. So there was 8 tracks around. Kenny Rogers, I think they plugged it into the top of their bed and it had those lights that swiveled around. And I don't know,
they always look mysterious.
Yeah. Records all around. I mean, Seasons in the Sun, I remember playing that. We didn't have a lot of access to TV at that time. So we were playing Seasons in the Sun, and I'd sit there and cry when he's like, "Goodbye, Michelle, my little one." I get right emo and vibey. But raised on those country records and jazz records, Louis Armstrong, all that kind of stuff. We'd go up on the hill to my sister's house, and we could get CBC through the rabbit ears. But later, MTV, they're kind of like copying them on VHS cassettes, and I was getting them from my friends in school and coming home and playing them. That's how I watched Fresh Prince and all that. And MTV, I really think ruined my life. It put me in the rock and roll sphere. So it really did an effect. It had an effect on our culture for sure. But I was so glad to come back to language and music and that. But yeah, MTV is what got me to the city, chasing that dream.
You know, that story is so important for a lot of musicians from the communities. It's like you're grounded in community, then you have influences, but to truly succeed and move forward is connecting, going back as well. So
Yeah.
it's like a full circle, and it's kind of like when we're talking with musicians doing well, that's a story that's important. So I'm so happy to hear that's part of your story as well.
Yeah, as digital hunter gatherers in a way, we kind of slaughtered that MTV beast. There's no music on those channels anymore. So now we have the space to come back. You know, they're running reruns of all this stuff. So it kind of gets us out of that. It had such a charm to it, and it led us on for so long, that dream. But now that dream's over, I'm saying, hey, you know, I like my community more. I like these rhythms more. So
Nice.
no more razzle dazzle.
Well, and you went on to do some recording that's gotten attention from Sirius XM. That's, you know, you hit #1 on the Indigenous Music Countdown on the national radio show. So what has that meant to you, those successes as well?
Yeah, well, when I look at my SOCAN reports and my Sound Exchange reports, I get an idea of where it's playing around the world. And those documents are huge, but I'm like, wow, I'm playing in Tel Aviv, I'm playing here, wow, people are hearing me, like, it's unreal. That's what I'm in it for. You know, I want to talk to my audience, and Sirius XM, and that gets you there. It gets people listening. I find it kind of strange because in my home market, no one knows me. But I can go to another market and they say, oh, I know your song. And I find that something else because it doesn't necessarily line up with where you're living. So people might know you somewhere else, but at home you're anonymous. It's kind of strange.
There's this a phrase we often hear in the communities as well, is like music is the medicine. And how does that apply to what you were just talking about?
Music's medicine for me. I mean, it's therapy. Everyone knows that. It's cathartic. I just did a session this morning and it felt like I was hitting a speed bag. It was all there, you know. I was sweating. It's all done. I got these songs out of me. Music's kind of strange because I think other songwriters in that might wish they never had that bug. Sometimes you wish you didn't have to do it, but it's incessant. I'm 3 hours behind. I got up at 3 a.m. here before breakfast, writing songs, just that excitement of, can I pull it off this afternoon? Can this new song come to life? That's really been something else. I've been just considering how incessant it is. I think I saw a reel or something. They said that Gord Downey would try and make a song out of life. He heard lyrics everywhere. I think I got a touch of that. I'm listening. Overhearing conversations, some people that didn't know me were walking by and they said, do you feel the stress? And someone said, yeah, I feel it too. It's kind of always there. I was like, that's it. That's the lyric.
And you know, like sometimes you hear the term like having your antenna. You have your antennas on.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. That's a important role for artists, to have those antennas on and to pick things up, and then translate it to lyrics and music as well. That's something. And you are a poet and you're a lecturer, a university professor. It's like I'm really infatuated by how much you've done and how much you're going to do. When you're doing, like, being a professor and doing music, It reminds me of, I had this discussion with Art Napoleon one time, and he kind of said, because he was doing like 3, 4 projects, including a TV show. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
how is that? Like, he goes, Dave, we're not in a box. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
traditionally, our people had to survive on the land. And we had artists that did that as well as survive on the land. They just weren't hunters. They also did A, B, C, D. So he goes, that continues today. And Raymond, I just see that so much in what you're doing. So, but you haven't lost sight of culture. If somebody is watching this and they're not connected to culture, what would you suggest to them? Like if they're
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't have that background that you do, what would you tell them?
I'd say there's no line. A lot of times we think there's a line, or we think there's some kind of piece we have to have in ourselves before we can come back to the circle. The circle's here. So whenever, just step over the line, come back with us. There's no line. It's not something you have to earn or that. Community's just there. Our heart's there. Come on back. Like that's my best advice for that.
And in the music, like being in the studio right now, you're putting together an album. I believe you're up to 10, possibly 11 songs.
Yes, yeah.
And how has that process been going for you?
Well, I don't like watching TV anymore, so I do a few sessions here. I go back to the hotel and I listen to my stuff over and over again. Day one, I'm like, what am I doing? I had to explore a lot. I had to see how the flow went. Day two, I'm like, no, I don't got anything. What's going on here? Day three, I'm like depressed, deflated, looking out the window, hearing the train go by over and over again. Just go to bed. I went to Earl's. I'm an Earl's girl. I have to go there all the time. I got my Earl's, went to bed, got up in the morning, awake. Here's a new day. Boom, locking in the record. Boom, locking in the vocals, retaking vocals, pulling it all together. It had a bit of a slow start here, but I'm proud of what happened because it made me nervous. I like to get my art out before I'm implicated. Or
Mm-hmm.
before I think about implications. I'm like that with poetry. I say stuff, I got to get it out right away because before I worry, what the CBC will think or what someone will say about it. I want to get it out and then worry about the implications after instead of having all this stuff in my head that's not really reality. Like just getting the art out. I'm moving energies. Someone told me one time, poetry is news that stays news. So
Mm-hmm.
when I'm writing stories, it's like this. There's all these kind of stems you can attach to. I don't care about history. I don't care about academics. It's whatever the person reverberates with and can latch onto. Doesn't have to be linear. Doesn't. Whenever they feel that energy, whenever you're sitting there, and like Leonard Cohen says in My Secret Life, I know that that's always going to hit. So it's getting your story out with history, with academics, but not necessarily be loyal to them or precise to them, but being loyal to how can I use these to vault my story at the person and connect with them. James Baldwin had those famous writings about you have to connect with people. It's your job to do that. People who are getting through the day, having a hell of a day, they don't get time to do that. They need something to soothe that. They need that salve. So you talked about music and medicine, the healings in that. Come home after a long day. You see all the inequities in the world here,
Mm-hmm.
how awful it is. People need that kind of balm for the soul, that's why music's medicine too.
And when you think of like I'm glad to hear like you let the art take it where it's going to take you,
Hmm.
as opposed to thinking about it. Um, but at the same time, it's like when you're doing that, you ultimately you're looking at performing that live, or you're performing it in front of an audience, and that's going to be a different, very different than being in the studio. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that next step? It's like, okay, this album's done, it's got 10, 11 songs on it,
Hmm.
and I now I got to perform it. So is that something that you think about? I don't know.
I take a page from Louis Armstrong. I don't know if he's misquoted or whatever, but he says he doesn't do it the same way twice. So I don't put that pressure on myself. I just do it how it comes out live. Also, the first mistake, when I hit the first chord, then I'm golden. Back home, we have this saying, "Gis creator doesn't like perfect." So the people who make baskets put little airs, people who bead put little airs in it. And I think that really is profound. We're not chasing perfection, we're chasing the story and the energy. So sometimes I sing out of pitch, sometimes, but I'm moving the energy. So I keep that in mind. But try to never do it the same twice. What you get is a capture of it, but the songs have a life. So you're just looking at a picture of them essentially.
That is so well said. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And when you do lecturing, do you ever bring your music into as part of the lecture?
Yeah, I teach songwriting and I teach poetry for performance as well. So I tell my students there's one thing writing it and being on the page, and then that energy before you go out and perform it. Hey, it's happening. Too late to be scared now. You wanted this to happen? It's happening. If you didn't want to perform it live, don't even start it. But once you go and you're gonna do it, bring it to life. So that's something I teach them, and I teach them about the awkwardness of the stage, the awkwardness of writing. They only see finished products that are masterpieces, you know. They don't see how vulnerable you have to be, how silly you have to look, how deprived you have to look a lot of the time to make good art. Like same thing with being a professor. If you're not used to being embarrassed, that it's a hard job. The computers never work. You're standing up there, everyone thinks you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You got to lean into that. You just got to get over yourself. Otherwise, it's hell.
Well, and I was talking to a bass player, and he talked about manifesting. Just that when he was a kid, he's like, I see myself playing an instrument, I see myself performing, I see myself touring, and then when it happened, he said, I had no doubt it was going to happen because that's how I saw myself. He goes, manifesting and seeing yourself is so important. And he also mentioned in the communities, a lot of people don't allow themselves to manifest. And any thoughts on that?
That's profound. One of the matriarchs from my community, my sister Phyllis Grant, she told me, put what you are and then catch up. Like, you're a writer, put that in your bio and it'll catch up. You'll be a writer. I always like that. She said, you do it, you know, you just say you are. And that's what all the great people did. You got to own it. You got to say, I'll do this. Our community's full of artists, Bewai, full of dreamers, you know. Wow. It's good energy.
I like how you use the word dreamers. That's what it is. And do you consider yourself a dreamer?
I have to be, because the reality's too much. I dream to get out of the trauma, you know what I mean? Like, we built all these worlds where we're in control of stuff, where we don't have to hurt anymore. So it's heavy. I like being in those worlds more.
Well, and that's the thing too. I was reading a post yesterday from a writer, and he was just talking about generational trauma and how even when you don't think it's affecting you, it is affecting you, and that's what he discovered in himself and his worldview, how it affected his worldview. So, how do you think that that colonialism has affected you?
All facets of life. Like I say, I'm suffering under the India Act. We're all suffering under the Indian Act. What I want to do, where I want to be, is all controlled. We're embedded in two settler states, Canada, the U.S. You know, that hurts. USA is post-colonial after the Revolutionary War, but we're still embedded in that. So it's hard. My homeland, Mi'kma'ki, is between Canada and the U.S. with everything going on right now. To go visit cultural sites like the mountains and to pray to the mountains, we don't have access, or we have shaky access at border crossings. I just remember the Pantheon because of the stories my father and different elders told me. I remember our characters on the land, Mikomoesu, Jijakumich, Jibichkam, Ugalatamwich, all these characters that were erased for tourism and mine extracting. I want to put my Pantheon back where it belongs. So an example of this, I went to a show in Halifax, and there was a story about the devil. We don't have that in Mi'kmaq. My dad said, we don't got hell, no Minduegadi, no devil, just characters from somewhere else. So what I was seeing, this show took place in a church, and it seemed profound to tell that story in a church. But for me, it was like a fishbowl. I step outside, I see Jabuktuk, the Great Harbor, and I see our Pantheon. I see Glooscap, I see Malsum, see all those. So what I'm really doing now is trying to marry that back. I share that with my students. We look at the background on the Mac screen, and it's a desert landscape. I just show that desert landscape. I say, what is that? They said, that's the background on the Apple computers. With that, you just erase the whole story of what's there. Think about Looney Tunes. You got Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote taking over those landscapes. What are the original stories of those landscapes? How can we tell them again and hear them again? So on Winpegajuik, I'm always writing an opus to the river. I'm always trying to show this is the background of our stories. It's inextricable from the language. Here's our characters. Let's celebrate them and let them live again. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I heard one artist. She said that the river runs through the land, but it also runs through the people. I remember an artist saying that, and that really stuck with me.
It's part of our community. It's our relationship. Natalie Diaz says that, Mojave writer. The Colorado River goes through her and her lover. They drink it. It's part of their relationship. We got to start looking at stuff like communities, the plants and stories and everything, music and everything goes through us. It's part of all of our relationships. So we're all locked in community, and when we respect all our relations, all our communiums at Nogma, then we're in good standing with all our relations, and then we get that kind of peace in a way that Wantogari.
And some people would think initially that, well, what is that, the colonial effects have to do with making music, and you just explained what it has to do with making music.
Mm-hmm. It's the grids. It's the genre grids. When you look at it, everything's grids. Everything's on time. The Western clock. You go down here, all the streets interlock on a grid. We're trying to get away from that and getting back to circles and the community and feeling. So everything in the Indigenous community is a circle. The drums a circle. We dance in circles. Our houses are circles. So it's pretty cool.
Raymond, when you're doing music and when you're being an artist or poetry, what for you is success? Because it's not dollars. I'm hearing that for sure. Mm-hmm. But what's a marker for success for you?
I like the instant feedback from people when I play them a song. I like to see them processing it. Like I'll sing a song and I'll see it go through their head, like rattle through their head, and I'll see them processing it, like what am I hearing? And when that locks in, that they like it, then I feel like I achieved something. So all my friends that I'm working with, I encourage them to do music too and to lock into that. It's all the vibration. It's not really technique or singing abilities or that. Look at Tom Waits, Some of his stuff, you can't do that. Only he can do that, and locks you in.
I know what you mean. I've got all his albums. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that locking people in. You mentioned that you're doing this right now. Before you get older, you want to complete this kind of phase in your life. So when you're working on an album, what are some of the themes in the songs you're recording at National Music Center right now?
I brought some characters into this. I just finished an album. It's coming out June 20th. It's with a band. There's like 30 people on it. My voice is a big part of that, so they're productions, right? When I came here, I wanted to have me playing everything. My voice, all the nuance, right up on the mic, all that Elvis feeling. I wrote songs about characters that... There's a saying I heard, don't write for the audience, that's pandering. Don't write for yourself, it's too personal. Write for the idea that wants to be born. I heard that from N. Scott Mohamedy. So some of these songs want to be born, so I got these busted characters. Like I have a song, Playing with Wolves. It's this guy that's always running away from everything. And I show the insecurity that he has with that, even though he has the bravado. These songs... against my best judgment, I didn't want them really to come out. They're not pop songs. They're theatrical. They're really deep. They're really nuanced. They're really Indigenous. there are stories that might not always be heard, but they're the feelings in folks' heads. So it's been a process. Writing these songs, the main theme, like I said, was how we're all suffering under the Indian Act. I write stories, though, that we still have personal lives. We still have love stories that take place under the Indian Act. But they do affect every facet of your life. Intercultural relationships, for example, they're all affected by your worldview and your paradigm not matching with somebody else's. You get a dissonance. It's tough, but when you do it for love, you work through that kind of stuff. So it's deeply personal. I have a tentative title. It's called Raymond Sewell Presents Sorry for Dragging You Through My Personal Life. It's a bit long, but I told that to the text here. I'm so sorry for dragging you through my personal life. They see the en masse version of songs, but I do put on a mask when I'm singing them. I approach them like in character. If people just know it's myself, I'm a bleeding heart. It'd be a sappy mess. So
you're physically putting on a mask.
No, but in my singing, like
in your singing, okay, you're using your voice as a mask.
Yeah, I'm singing like Elvis or that on some of them. I think he did that in a way so we didn't see the real Elvis. Okay. You know what I mean? You put on here I am, because when you sing it as you, I have an alternate take of a song I did. You can't have it both ways. And the song is just about someone wanting everything, but not being able to choose. So in the last line, I said, "Hello, mirror. Last time I saw you, I didn't like what I seen. The wren a feather standing there, someone's painted pony." And then in the end, I said, "I remember a promise to someone. I can't have it both ways." So in the song, I want it to be this thing that everybody liked, maybe have a new love interest, but saying, "Hey, I'm married," and saying, "Hey, I'm tired of being the rent-a-feather." I heard that and stopped doing openings. I used to do a lot of drum openings. It would give my kids some money. So I always ethically didn't like it. And they said, "Who's the rent-a-feather?" I said, "I don't want to be someone's rent-a-feather, like a gun for hire anymore. I want to go a little deeper than that." So I was struggling with who I was seeing in the mirror. My father said when he woke up in the morning, how he got through life was saying, "Hey, you handsome devil, go get him. Today's a good day to die," kind of thing. So in this lyric, I was looking in the mirror saying, I don't really like what I seen, kind of like Bruce Springsteen. I want to change my clothes, my hair, my face. I want people to like me. I want to kind of flirt with, maybe.
No, you're going deep and you're literally reflecting internally what's going on, and going to those places requires some healing being done, some self perspective. And when it comes to like meaningful lyrics, that's why we need artists. But it also just connects to people so deeply who can't do that. So you're doing the work maybe that some people in the community would have difficulty or not want to do. But as an artist, you're taking that step. So you're being a leader in that sense of being an artist. So just congratulations to you. I know, and you also open the door to other artists to work with. I know you have a guest artist you're recording with. Can you share about that?
Of course, Ashley Ghostkeeper. I was sitting front row here at a show she opened for. I was blown away. Ashley was singing and playing guitar. I said, "Wow, what a power, what an energy." Now's the time. I got to ask you, will you get on the song? Will you get on the song? I was so excited just to think of the possibilities of that. So that moving that energy. But it's always important to collaborate. I used to not collaborate at all. I used to try to do everything myself. Collaboration is the way to do it. Community is the way to do it with art. They'll help get stuff along that you got in your head.
Yeah, definitely. And you but she shared that vision of that song, I'm sure, and looks forward to it. And I like that you're saying to work with other people, and we're seeing that happen more than 20, 30 years ago, that a lot of artists, because of technology, are able to work a lot easier with each other. So what we're ultimately seeing from that is a lot of growth going on. So I'm sure that's part of what you're about as well, as what do you hope to accomplish with this album that you're recording?
Yeah, like I said, with the lyrics, I sang them as Raymond, and then after I said, "Hello, mirror," just to get that mask. I want people to see me, but not totally me. Maybe posthumously, you can hear the takes. I'm not ready for that. It's like you mentioned about singing live. You can't get through them without crying unless you have some kind of posture behind it. This album was influenced by Springsteen's Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
I did a big record before with everyone on it, and I wanted to show people just me. So we're kind of matching that vibe. The producers here, Eric and Jeff, we're running stuff through Neil Young's mic. How cool is that? You know what I mean? It's like unreal. The chain goes through Echoplex, a real Gibson tube amp from the 30s. When we lay it down, there's no ability to do pitch correction. I got to lock in because with those effects, you got to get it right. So I like that. It's going to be real. I had to hit them right. And if I hit them wrong, I had to hit them with emotion or proper phrasing. But I wanted something stripped down, minimal, to show me. I've been doing pop songs for a long time, and I don't want to do the same record all the time, so this time I went that way. My EP was a soul record. The last one was country kind of rock. This one's getting into adult contemporary. I'm a little scared of that, to be honest. I don't know.
Well, good. And you talked about some of the recording process, but also some instruments caught your eye, like a guitar and a piano as well.
Yeah, there's a Rhapsody in Blue piano here. It's got all these inlays of stars, and it's blue, and it's got gold leafing on it. And then there's one of Foster's pianos here. I've been writing on that in the morning when I come in to warm up. But there's something romantic about that blue piano. I don't know if it sounds better than the other one.
David Foster's famous piano, yeah.
So cool. So cool to say I wrote on that and then switched to the other one. Anne Murray's guitar. Wow, we all know Anne Murray, you know. It's like profound. I'm playing her guitar. It's something else. There's one, I think, is it Smiley Johnny's guitar?
Nice.
I've been using that on a lot of stuff, feeling connected to it. Also, the CEO's guitar, the guy that runs this, lent me his J45. We got that on one track. Yeah. So he stopped by, and oh, what a nice tone on that. Trying out instruments that, like finding the right bass drum for different things. I'm playing the bass drum. Just exploring Fender Rhodes, of course, Wurlitzers, all those are there. But I've been using a lot of VSTs and stuff, and I've been up late at night. Oh, wow, I got to spend $300 on this because it has the pedal sound that comes from the squeak from a Steinway. Then I wake up in the morning, what have I done? Why did I buy another VST? All this digital world of VSTs is real here. So you got the real stuff. And I'm like, I seen like drawings of it on my computer. I'm actually using it. Like it's right there next to me. So that's been profound.
Well, when do you expect the album to be released?
Well, my label is Music Nomad. So I just did a record with them that's coming out June 20th. I don't know what the cycle would be on the record, but I'm hoping to get it out quick. So maybe 2026, getting this to folks with minimal alterations from mixing and mastering. It's nice. time to be more exposed, but not totally exposed. We're not going there yet.
Well, and is there anything else you'd like to share about your experience? Just being at the National Music Center and being part of the OHSOTO'KINO program.
I'm so thankful. I mean, I came in here. I don't know. I kind of thought maybe it wouldn't be as accessible, but it is. When I first started playing, I realized the instruments are delicate, but they said, hey, you got to play them too. That's what the artists before you did. So I was first bringing my guitar, like, and now I'm like letting her ring, mindful, like I'm not playing thrash or anything, but just the whole vibe here. I knew it would be good. My brother's from out this way, so he got to sit in on a session, and he knows how to move energies too. He helped me play stuff. So I had family here, him and his lovely wife, and I had been to Calgary, been to Banff in the residency. I'm kind of hooked on out here. You know what I mean? So walking the streets and feeling the vibes and that, and then coming here and this really home feeling that the center has here, warm feeling, inviting feeling. No one's too rushed. No one's too stressed. We're using real instruments and real boards that have real ghosts in them. So we're always cleaning lines and making sure the gear's working. That's fun too, leaning into the warts of recording and that, and just not taking yourself too serious. But the National Music Center, it's under my understanding a lot of folks from out east don't apply. I'd say apply because you're going to find a spot where you can come and create.
Well, we're really happy you're representing the eastern part of the land, and Raymond, wish you continued success. I can't wait to hear your album. You're a sincere artist. You're connected in the right ways, in a good way, and I think this album will carry some medicine. So thank you very much for sharing with us. And we look forward to hearing the album, and all the best to you and your family, and all the work that you do for community. So chimigwech.
Well, Alan, up to good as I'll see you again. Up na multas.